by the power of Grayskull.
Popular culture is filled with the master swordsman trope. They tend to be the main character wielding a sometimes magical weapon that has the ability to unite the world, defeat powerful foes, or assist in gaining freedom. The one caveat being that the weapon is almost always a sword. From the Tales of King Arthur, we have Arthur's sword, Excalibur, which is attributed with magical powers that grant the rightful user sovereignty of Great Britain. The Power Sword transforms Prince Adam into He-Man, a superhero possessing indestructible skin, super speed, and super strength. And unlike Legolas's bow or Gimli's axe, it was Aragorn's sword, Andúril, also known as the Flame of the West, that granted Aragorn dominion over the residents of the Paths of the Dead, which gave them the upper hand against the army of Sauron in The Return of the King. The list really continues. You have Westley from The Princess Bride, Edmond Dantes from The Count of Monte Cristo, the masked Avenger Zorro, even Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the rest of the Jedi are just a few others who fit the swordsman trope. But why? Why have writers from throughout history preferred the sword over any other weapon when there's dozens of weapons to choose from? For instance, the spear has a history of over at least 500,000 years and has existed as the primary weapon in combat long before and long after the sword was even invented. It wouldn't be until 1700 BC when swords could even be distinguished from daggers. On top of this, especially compared to the bow, which has its own metaphorical representation, the sword cannot be considered a technologically advanced ancient weapon. And even up through the Dark Ages, the sword was not the most popular weapon among the nobility. As seen in medieval tournaments, jousting was always the more prestigious tournament compared to sword fighting tournaments. So what made the sword stand out to the creators of the swordsman trope? Well, we all know that a sword can't literally unite Greater Britain, and that mastering swordsmanship cannot save the galaxy or transform you into a millionaire. The master swordsman trope is just an entertaining metaphorical representation for the power of words. The swordsman trope is not to be taken literally. As anyone can see, the skill of swordsmanship bears little correlation to leadership, national unification, or financial freedom. But the skill of wordsmanship to a great degree does. The similarity of these two seemingly opposing forces are great. Words and swords are both simple tools, but in the hands of a master they become the most versatile of weapons. And just as the imagination is limitless, so too are the possibilities of these tools. Writers and creators have been using this metaphor for over 1,000 years to remind us that the sword is the great equalizer on the battlefield, so too are words the great equalizer in life. It costs nothing to swing a sword, just like how it's totally free to speak as many words as you want. And a mind full of words beats a pocket full of cash every time, because it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you can master the power of words, the world is yours. But can this really be true? Well, I don't know if it's actually a fact, but it is in the word. Words is an anagram for sword. If you take the S in words, get rid of it in the back, and put it in the front, you get sword, which I thought was pretty cool. Remember that you can't take back a stroke of a pen or a stroke of a word. We control great power when we speak, and when we're tactless with our words and we accidentally say something that offends someone else, we say that we put our foot in our mouth. A relatively benign saying, But words can hurt. They cut and gash just like a sword. And I wonder how much more careful we'd be with our words if we saw physical wounds from the words that we say or write. With that being said, I want you to be more tactful with the words that you speak. Treat every sentence like a slash of a sword. Be disciplined in your sayings. The point isn't to censor yourself, but to understand that these invisible vibrations have great power, and in order to treat them with reverence, we must be consciously aware when we use them. So for the rest of the day, be conscious of the words that you speak and see how they affect the people around you. That's all for me today. Have a good rest of your week.